Hello, this is Negotiation in a Minute and I'm Edward Trumbovetsky. Do you know that people have different communication styles? Individuals bring sets of experiences, tools and skills that affect the way they interact with others, both at home and in the workplace. Individual communication styles also translate into how they negotiate. From these patterns of communications, 5 distinct negotiation styles have emerged: competing, collaborating, compromising, avoiding, and accommodating. In general, negotiators fall into one or more of these 5 negotiation styles, whether they are trying to reach a mutually beneficial agreement or to resolve a conflict with multiple parties. Master negotiators know how to use their primary negotiation style to their advantage and when it is beneficial to introduce the others. And right now I would like to tell you about common characteristics of these 5 negotiation styles, about their strengths and their weaknesses. So, competing negotiating style. When I win, you lose. Competitive negotiators are highly results-driven, focused and assertive. They can often become aggressive. They thrive in negotiation as they enjoy the opportunity to win. These types of negotiators have a strategic mind. They may focus on winning than reaching a mutually beneficial agreement with the other party. When you can use this negotiation style? Firstly, when you need to get the results quickly. Secondly, when the issue of the negotiation is non-negotiable. Thirdly, when you need a guaranteed win over the other party, but when you have to be attentive using competing negotiating style. Firstly, remember one thing: aggression is not the answer in negotiations. Keep your temper in check. Secondly, competitive style is a well-used tool in negotiation. So be careful, because the other party may be able to prepare easily against this style. And thirdly, do you know that some recruiters, by the way, can avoid candidates with high compete negotiation styles? Collaborative negotiating style. I win and you win. Collaborative negotiators are open and honest. They understand the concerns and the interest of the other party. They really enjoy negotiations, especially if it involves finding creative solutions to satisfy both parties. However, these types of negotiators may have a tendency to turn simple situations into more complicated ones by overthinking and exploring many alternatives. When you can use this negotiation style? Firstly, when both parties need their goals to be achieved. Secondly, when brainstorming is needed to come up with a solution to a difficult problem. But when you have to be very attentive using this negotiation style. Firstly, don't forget, collaboration takes time, which makes compromising a tempting alternative. Leave yourself enough time to collaborate and don't be tempted to rush in order to close the negotiations. Secondly, be careful not to share too much information with the other party, as this will leave you exposed and exploited. Thirdly, you can often overcomplicate a situation by exploring many alternative solutions. That's why just keep your focus and keep the overall negotiation goal in mind. Compromising negotiating style. When I win, lose some, you win, lose some. A main concern for compromising negotiators is finding middle ground and doing what is fair for both parties. They would rather compromise and settle with less than anticipated in order to satisfy the needs of the other party. These types of negotiators may rush in negotiations and make concessions too quickly, which can, in the long run, lead to a loss. When you can use this negotiation style? Firstly, when you need to fix or to maintain relationships with the other party. Don't forget, compromising reduces the strain of negotiating. Secondly, when you are pushed for time and dealing with a partner you have contacted before and you trust him. Thirdly, when you have nothing else you can possibly offer in the negotiation, so you may have to settle for less you hoped for. But when you have to be attentive using this negotiation style. Firstly, don't compromise, never compromise where the outcome is critical to you or to your company. Secondly, don't become known as a compromiser because the other party may be able to wise up to your style and it can leave you weak. Thirdly, and this is a very important rule, compromising often happens when you have not prepared enough for negotiation. Don't forget, preparation is paramount to a successful negotiation. Avoiding negotiating style. I lose, you lose. Avoiding negotiators really don't like negotiations. They try to avoid conflict by any means possible, maybe by passing their responsibility to another member of their team, or just by staying quiet. They tend to find negotiations intimidating and would be susceptible to threats. When you can use this negotiation style? Firstly, when the issue of the negotiation is trivial and simple and is not worth investing time in. Secondly, when you are forced to be involved in negotiations you are not prepared for. Thirdly, you can use this style to stall the negotiations. Silence may cause the other party to concede first, as they may panic that you are not interested at all. By the way, the party who is under greater time restrictions will usually concede first. But when you have to be attentive using this negotiation style. Firstly, this style can be seen passive and aggressive, and even revengeful. Secondly, sometimes avoiding style can result in a conflict, because avoiding a situation can lead to build up resentment between the parties. Thirdly, avoiding is not always suitable to the negotiation situation, especially when the issue is time sensitive. Fourthly, avoiding means that you don't get any experience within negotiations. That's why your skills, your confidence will not develop. This will create a vicious circle where your lack of confidence will make you want to avoid negotiation situations in the future. Accommodating negotiating style. I lose, you win. A main concern for accommodating negotiators is preserving relationships with the other party. They like to connect on a personal level, and they would be frustrated if the other party was not interested also in building relationships. They would attempt to smooth over conflicts and mend fences in order to close negotiations on a positive and friendly note. It is very important for accommodating negotiators what the other party thinks of them. So, when you can use this negotiation style? Firstly, accommodating negotiators are needed when your company needs to build bridges and to restore relationships with the other party. Secondly, building relationships can be beneficial to the team because it gives you an insight into personal goals, expectations, and even weaknesses of the other party. Thirdly, you can use this style at the beginning of a new negotiation process. This will create a positive dynamic to start negotiations, while collecting personal information about the other team. So, when you have to be attentive using this negotiation style? Firstly, never accommodate when you negotiate against high-compete negotiation styles, because it will be seen as a sign of weakness. Secondly, don't satisfy the needs of the other party, putting your company at risk. Don't forget about this rule. Thirdly, you should understand one important thing. Negotiations are not always friendly environments. That's why try not to be offended if the other party, if the partner, whatever, is not interested in building relationships. In conclusion, I would like to say, please keep in mind these 5 negotiation styles, and you will be able to become a really successful negotiator. I am Edward Trembovetsky. See you.